Word from Beirut that at least 23 people were killed by a pair of suicide bombers who attacked outside the Iranian embassy.
Two powerful bombs were detonated outside the Iranian embassy in Beirut early on Tuesday. Along with civilians, the cultural attaché at the embassy is among the people killed. Firefighters rushed to the scene to put out the flames and help the wounded.
I am Syrian. I work opposite the Iranian embassy. On my way to work, the first explosion took place. Minutes later, the second took place. I fell unconscious and woke up to find myself here in the hospital.
The Sunni jihadist group is tied to al-Qaeda. The group warns more attacks will come unless Iranian-backed Hezbollah stops supporting government forces in Syria.
That's the guard tower of the Iranian embassy. It's been completely blown out by those two massive blasts. And if you look up there, every balcony and window for several blocks on those residential apartment buildings has been damaged.
The Iranian embassy is located in South Beirut. Lebanon's Shia Muslim militant group Hezbollah controls the area. Iran and Hezbollah support Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The friction between the group and Sunni Muslims in Lebanon has intensified since Hezbollah sent combatants to Syria earlier this year to fight in the civil war.
There are 75
million Iranians in Iran who want the country to be involved in the fight against Israeli occupation. This is what makes it important for us to stand at the front line, and is our pride to fight against Israeli plans and to stand in the face of Zionist orders.
Iran's foreign minister interrupted talks in Rome with his Italian counterpart to condemn the attack and issue an appeal for international aid.
The tragedy today, though Iranians were victims of it, and more Lebanese, unfortunately, than Iranians were victims of this tragedy, but that should be a reminder for all of us. That should be an alarm for all of us that we need to deal with this issue, and unless we deal with this issue seriously, it will engulf all of us.
Isn't this payback for what the Iranians are doing in Syria?
Maybe it's a message. It's a message. But we are trying to say that everybody now is convinced that the solution in Syria is a political solution. So who did this now, I think, doesn't want a political solution.
At least 6 buildings in the embassy compound were damaged in what local officials say was the act of suicide bombers on a motorcycle and in a car.
It's clear that the criminal terrorist brain behind this blast wants to threaten the Lebanese people's dream of living freely and happily.
This area of the Lebanese capital is a stronghold of the Islamist militant group Hezbollah and has been hit by several bomb attacks in recent weeks. The country has seen increased violence over Hezbollah's backing of Syria's regime and for providing manpower in the Syrian military's fight against rebels in its more than 2-year conflict.